Hey everyone, I'm Petro from Bishop Fox. Today I want to show you Eyeballer. It's an open source machine learning pen testing tool I made that can help you make sense of a large attack surface area. To get a feel for what Eyeballer can do, let's walk through a scenario together. Suppose you're on an engagement with a large external network footprint. There's 10,000 externally exposed IP addresses for the target that have port 80 or 443 open, web ports. And naturally, one of the first things you'll do is fire up Go Witness or some other screenshotting tool and start looking around. At this point, you're looking for something interesting here among the websites, something to attack. Most of the sites tend to just be garbage though, blank white pages, IIS and Apache default sites, that sort of thing. But the problem here is that there's so many sites, it's hard to go through all of them in this manual and laborious inspection process. This is where Eyeballer comes in. It can quickly sift through these screenshots for you and let you know where to focus your effort. It works like this. You take your screenshots, captured in whatever tool you like, and drop them into eyeballer.bishopfox.com. It will assign these images labels that are of interest to pen testers and let you export the results for later use too. It's that simple. Now, importantly, this web interface you see here is just static HTML and JavaScript. The files you drag and drop never leave your computer, and there isn't even a backend server. You might notice that the site is just a GitHub IO page, which actually can only serve static content. This means that your data is private, which is important since Eyeballer is meant to be used on sensitive data. If you really wanted, you could even just copy the page and host it locally. It'll work just fine. But let's dive back into Eyeballer and go over exactly what these labels mean and how they can help you. First is whether the website is of a web application. This means that the site has non-trivial functionality, buttons to click, content to peruse, stuff to potentially find vulnerabilities in, basically. This kind of site is really important when pen testing and is at the heart of really why you'd use Eyeballer in the first place, so pay attention to this one. Next is old looking. You know an old looking site when you see one. Blocky frames, broken CSS, the certain je ne sais quoi of a website that is designed in the early 2000s. That is, websites that aren't just ugly, but they're also typically super vulnerable. When you're looking to hack into something, these websites are a goldmine. Then there's login pages. Knowing whether a site contains a login prompt is important. Whenever there's a login prompt on a website, it lets you know that there's additional functionality that you don't currently have access to. The page might be just a fraction of the total surface area, letting you know that there's additional attack surface behind it. Knowing where all the login prompts are also really useful, since you can follow that up with a password enumeration attack afterward. The last two labels are actually things you're probably not interested in, which you can use Eyeballer to filter out. Custom 404 pages and parked domains are things that typically represent uninteresting pages or even things that shouldn't be in scope to begin with. You can use Eyeballer to weed these things out for you. So once you've dragged and dropped all of your files, the website here will show you exactly the totals of each label. By default, it will select all images that are of web applications, but excluding any parked domains and custom 404s. In general, this tends to capture interesting pretty well. You can kind of leave the defaults. You can change what's being selected here, though, by just clicking the buttons on top. So for example, if we want to see all web applications that are also old looking, we can choose just those. And now when we export, it'll have a much smaller, but also probably very interesting list. Or if we wanted to see all login pages that are not web applications, which are often things like appliances, you can do that too. And when you hit export, it'll give you just a list of all the targets in that selection so you can go and hack them. It's really that simple. So the next time you find yourself on an engagement with a large web-based attack surface, give those screenshots of yours a quick eyeballing. It'll let you know what's interesting so you can skip straight to the fun part of hacking. Enjoy!